Hi, everyone. Welcome to Front Royal Women's Resource Center WomanGathering. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to first let you all know that the Front Royal Women's Resource Center is a 501c3. We have been around since 1996. We will actually be celebrating 25 years this fall, so that's very exciting for us. And we're coming into our summer months. We have some networking. This is one of our networking events that we have planned. And then, we'll take a little summer break and be back in August full swing with all sorts of events. So we hope you'll join us. In the meantime, I would like to introduce you to Eka Capiotis, who is our WomanGathering host. And Eka, if you would pop on. There she is. Yeah, so nice to see you.
25 years. That is awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Everyone I know that hears about us that isn't in Front Royal just goes, wow, I wish we had that where we live. So, yes, it's a wonderful thing.
It is a wonderful thing. It is a
Yeah,
wonderful thing, and it's amazing. And we just keep getting stronger and stronger, which is wonderful. So,
it is. Well,
yeah, we're thrilled. So anyway, let me introduce the world to you, Eka. And Eka is an integrative body worker, among many, many other things. She is a longtime member and supporter of the Front Royal Women's Resource Center. And she has a habit of bringing incredible women to this particular venue that we have. And we've got two of the three of this wonderful yoga trio, and she'll talk to you more a little bit about that. So I just want to go ahead and, Eka, if you want to add anything else about what you're doing in the world, please do. And I will let you take it away.
well, thank you so much. I would really appreciate that. And I actually have reopened my practice, so I will take the opportunity to say that I am seeing people live in person again, and it's so nice to be able to do that. So thank you for that opportunity to mention that. But I'm really excited about our guest tonight because we do have three. Unfortunately, one couldn't be with us, but we have JoAnna McCue-Martin, Joey Waters, and we wish we had Laura Ruby. Hope if you're watching, hi Laura. We are. We're really excited to be. I'm really excited to be presenting to be bringing them to you because they're doing this amazing thing called the Family Yoga Project. And they have both been working to bring mindfulness and yoga into our community, but they're doing it in a really unique way, inviting people to come out with their family. And I've experienced some of the yoga that they offer, and it's very kind and settling and soothing. And so, without any more, let me introduce JoAnna McCue-Martin. You want to pop in, JoAnna? And hi, welcome, JoAnna and
Yeah.
Joey Waters. And just go ahead and start your video. Hi, yay. So JoAnna, did you want to say a little bit more about who you are and how you got here before we start in on the actual family yoga project?
Sure. I am a member of the Warren County community, and I, in the past, have been a classroom teacher. I'm a mother, and I'm currently a yoga teacher. I would do trauma-informed yoga. I teach about mindfulness, and I support students with social emotional learning in a variety of different ways. And I have to say, I was really kind of inspired by Ekka. I think I landed in this area really because of Ekka and Joey. But having experienced some really amazing sessions with Ekka and having, I guess, the introduction to calm, and that was a nice step into what I'm doing now.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'm glad it worked out that way. Because, and do you mind just saying a sentence or two about what mindfulness means and trauma informed, what trauma informed yoga and how the, unless you were planning to talk about that later.
No, I'm happy to talk about it now. I think mindfulness has a bunch of different definitions, but the way I explain it to students is that it means to pay attention to one thing at a time with curiosity and kindness. So there's bigger definitions of it, but generally it's just being aware of the present moment, which sounds very easy, but as we know, it is not.
Okay.
um, and I think trauma informed, like trauma sensitive yoga is really a practice of understanding that everybody's coming from different experiences. So just basically not to assume anything. And there are things that we do within our classes that are kind of appeal to people that might want to know what's happening. So there's a lot of we're going to do this, or is this okay? Just placement of people so that they feel safe in the room, knowing where entrances are and exits are, how we use our voice, a lot of different types of flows that would then enable different stretches to be helpful. And just really a way of being present with people so that they're not feeling threatened, basically.
That is so, I just love what you said because it's those kinds of things seem so simple to someone to whom those don't matter. But, so many of us feel really uncertain. And I think sometimes when people hear trauma, they think, oh, a big event that happened. But trauma can also be just long term, um, a long-term thing that goes on where someone's either their boundaries are violated or their needs are not met in a very critical way. And so they really are experiencing trauma, even though it's not a single event. And so being held in that kind of space where they understand what's going to happen so they don't have to worry and that kind of thing, that's so important. So thank you for
You're
explaining
welcome.
that. And Joey, welcome.
Oh,
Nice to see you here. Can you
thank you.
say a little bit about who you are and how you got here?
Well, it's been a long journey. I've been a teacher of grades pre-K through fifth grade for a long, long time, and then was an assistant principal and then a principal for a long, long time. I had the privilege of working with JoAnna in my school, got to know her, and I also had the privilege of helping her when she was teaching yoga and mindfulness in the schools as a volunteer. There was no way she could get to everybody, and I had a wonderful time working with some kindergarten classes and fifth grade classes. And so I've started taking my own classes in yoga in the classroom, the yoga calm curriculum I'm involved in now, mindfulness in the schools, and also now learning about trauma. Took the class with the Warren Coalition, and I've been doing a lot of reading, and JoAnna and I are always strategizing about this. So that's been really great new learning for me. So I'm having a good time. I can't wait till we can get back in there and work with the kids in the schools. But in the meantime, we hope to reach out through the Family Yoga Project.
Thank you. That is so, it's just so wonderful that you are bringing this into schools because that's really, when people are exposed to this at an earlier point in their lives, it can be really transformational. I mean, it can be transformational at any age, but why not start early? And really begin to get the benefits of yoga, of mindfulness, of calm, of that sort of thing. So thank you so much, Joey. I am a big fan of yours, as you know, and I am a big fan of JoAnna's as well. I don't know. I would really like to get to know Laura because I know a lot of people who are fans of hers, but I don't know her that well. So I know I would be if I did. So, JoAnna, I'm a big fan of what you've been doing, bringing mindfulness into schools and to young people as well. I think it's so important. So, I know that you were going to talk about how these things impact the brain. Is that where you wanted to start tonight?
Yeah, I'd love to just start a little bit with just us checking in ourselves. And one of the things that we're always trying to teach the students that we're working with is help them to learn how to turn inwards. So I think it's helpful as practitioners that we continue to practice. So just to start this evening together with a little bit of time, maybe allowing our eyes to close, bringing our feet to the floor and sitting. So that our feet feel flat on the floor, which I teach students often that there's these little clues to kind of get our nervous system settled, and having our feet on the floor allows our nervous system to feel like a little bit safer, as if we're not going to fall. So that's just one little thing we can do. And then allowing our hands and feet to rest, or hands to rest on our knees. And then just focusing on our inhale and exhale. So there's no particular way we need to do that right now, but just turn inward and check in with your breath, and maybe check in and see how you might be feeling mentally and how you might be feeling emotionally or physically. And then start to bring your awareness to your breath. So just focus on the inhale. Notice you're breathing in. You may even say, I'm breathing in your head. And then notice that exhale, I'm breathing out. And we'll take a couple more breaths here, just breathing in and breathing in, breathing out and breathing out. And then a couple more on your own. And then maybe before opening your eyes, just thinking of 3 words that might come to mind with how you might be feeling in the moment. There's no right answer. And then allowing your eyes to open slowly. So yoga and mindfulness, I mean, it's been practiced for centuries, but the reason why we're practicing it, what it helps now is that it really helps us to monitor that internal experience and allows us to shift into another way of being if we'd like to. And so I really like a quote by Viktor Frankl, who was a neurologist, that says that between stimulus and response, there is space. And in that space is our power to choose response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And so really with teaching people to have the skills to use a breath, or to be able to turn inwards and kind of notice how they're feeling, we're really giving people that opportunity to create that space in their life. And when we have that space from a response to a reaction, we're able to make more of a choice. And with that choice, of course, can become a whole bunch of other things. So one of the things that we do is encouraging families or children to really learn how to make that space. And our brains are really wired for connection. So finding a way to connect in some way so that we can actually engage with another person is really the goal. So when we're doing it with family yoga, we're playing games and we're stretching and we're doing it together, and that helps people connect. And because our brains are wired for the safety and connection, we also are wired to make sure that we are not going to be eaten by something, or make sure that we can run away if we need to. So really understanding that our brain is vast, but when we explain it to children and to students, we really try to explain that there's two two major parts. I mean, there's a lot of parts, but there's two major parts that they really need to think about in order to explain some of the behaviors that they may be having or behaviors that are going on around them. And so because, we want to be constantly assessing our internal state so that we can kind of respond rather than react to things. Teaching people the tools to do that is one of the reasons that this is helpful. So I brought just a little puppet that Joey and I use. And we use it with the younger children, but I've used it with teenagers also. And it's really the hand model of a brain. So Dr. Dan Siegel, there's a lot of information out there that he has helped with this. But basically, we try to encourage them to understand that there's the part behind our brain, behind our forehead, would be the prefrontal cortex. So that's the part that might be more able to respond rather than to react. So that's the part, and it's all connected. This is really simplified, but that would be the part that would make decisions that would be helpful. That would be, I explain it when I'm talking to students. I say that's the part of the brain that tells you when you see a great big hallway in school and nobody's there and you want to run down it. That's the part that tells you not to, because you know that that's not what we're supposed to do in school. So there's just different decisions that can be made with our prefrontal cortex, and learning and communicating will happen there. But then inside, we explain that there is the limbic system. We also call it the downstairs brain and the upstairs brain, or the dinosaur brain. So this is more of the reptilian brain, the older part of the brain. And this is the part that will move into fight or flight pretty quickly. And we have one part that's the amygdala, that is where emotions will be happening. And then we have the hippocampus, which is kind of like the librarian or the memory of the brain. And so we just explain that the amygdala and the hippocampus are buddies, and they have to feel safe in order to allow that prefrontal cortex to work. And so if they feel safe and things are going well, that PFC, we call it, will help them make good decisions. But if there's a strong emotion and the amygdala is checking with the hippocampus and something doesn't seem right, or there's a memory that might trigger something, then that amygdala might take over, and the prefrontal cortex is not allowed to work. It just kind of goes offline. So that's when we say that's flipping our lid. And so we all know times that we've all flipped our lid, and we really are going back and forth between these parts of our brain all day. But learning how to manage this part and how to help this limbic system settle so that that prefrontal cortex can come back in charge is really the goal. And so we can do that through mindfulness and yoga, because the limbic system loves quiet, it loves movement, and it loves slow, deep breaths. So that's where we kind of begin, and sort of that's the why behind it. And then from there, we move into how the stretches and the breath work can help, and how that we need to practice it regularly, because our body needs to know that when we're feeling good, so that when our emotions do start to take over, we start to have some anxiety, we start to have some anger or fear, our body knows how to get to that calm, because we've done it before.
It is fantastic that you're teaching this, and to people such a young age, because I know that there was definitely a time when I did not realize that if I had a reaction, that I could stop and choose, And so to get that information and to understand how it really is how our brains are formed. And this really is something that we can, once we understand it, and once you get the tools, like what you're teaching about being mindful and just being aware that it's even an option, then you really do have a choice. And it gives you so much more leverage when you're steering your life down the road,
Yeah.
That's great. Joey, did you want to add anything to that part?
Only that is one of the most important things that I think we can teach children, for them to understand what's going on when they are getting upset, also for teachers to understand when a child is upset or when they're reacting to something that a child has done and choosing their response. But even the kindergartners get that. We would do the puppet, and we would talk. We had some really cute books that we read them, and they would come back the next time after we learned that lesson. They would tell me, "Oh, my amygdala got me in so much trouble this week." I would say, tell them their amygdala could go wacko, and then their prefrontal cortex would flip, and they couldn't make good decisions, and they were all over that.
Wow. Wow. That is fantastic. Great. Oh, wonderful. Okay. I can't wait to see what's next. Thank you. And what if,
Well, I brought a couple toys.
great.
So one of the things we use, and this works, I think this works with adults as well, is just, one of the challenges is getting people to take the correct kind of breath, and a deep, deep breath. And so we use the Hoberman sphere to explain how we want to fill their lungs. So we have them find their ribs and the rib cage, and then find their, we talk about where the lungs are, and practice just slow breathing with the Hoberman sphere. And they can feel their rib cage expanding when we breathe in, if we're taking a deep breath. And so we'll use this, and then we just breathe in and we inhale, and they take a great big breath.
That is
And
so cool.
exhale. And then, we can train children to do this themselves. If they have one of these, they can go ahead and practice the breathing together. And what's really nice about it is we are breathing together. It's a moment that we're all sharing together also. So we use that a lot. And, obviously not everybody has one of these, but when they understand that concept, then we talk about the balloon breath, where it's as if we're blowing up a balloon, and we have our hands, we just inhale, and then we exhale. We exhale slowly. We don't try to pop the balloon. They like to pop it. But just getting them to really take those slow breaths is another thing. And then also just the belly breathing, where they can put their hands on their belly, because again, if we're taking a deep breath, our belly will pop out slightly. We don't want them breathing up and down with their shoulders. We want them to understand that it's a much deeper breath. So with their belly breathing, they can place their hands on their belly and just breathe in and breathe out. So they might feel that belly go out. And if they're laying down and they put a Beanie Baby or a little stuffed animal of some kind on their belly, they'll actually see it go up and down. So that kind of tells them that they're getting a deeper breath. And then I guess, so shall I go into a couple of the morning things we could do, Joey, or did you want to add anything to that? Okay. So some things you can do because we can use this to actually move our energy. I don't know if you can see me. Move our energy so that if we want more energy, we can do certain things. And then if we want to calm down, we can do certain things. So just to kind of wake ourselves up, we can go down to our ankles and we just pat up and down our legs, because with children, their limbs are all over the place and they don't always know where they are. And sometimes those limbs can get them into trouble. So we just kind of make sure they know where those legs are, where the arms are, and we just go up and down, up and down. And then we go all the way up to our head, and we just take soft little fingers, and we go over our forehead and around underneath our eyes and under our nose and down to our chin. And then we go down to our collarbones. We cross and we give ourselves a great big hug, and we say something we love, or think a happy thought, and then we go down that other arm, just to kind of make sure we're getting everything moving. So that's one thing. And then the elevator breath is another one that is helpful, because again, it's that encouraging that big breath. So they can put their hands down here, and then when we inhale, we think of almost as if we're pouring a drink into a glass. So imagine you have a lemonade or a milkshake or whatever you like to drink, and then you just pour that in, and then we're going to fill up that glass. So we're going to fill it up like we would go up in an elevator, and we breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and then just slowly, always encouraging them to slow down, because they always want to go fast because they have a lot of energy. So just kind of encouraging that slow breathing, which again, that's going to help the limbic system settle. And then, so just for that's kind of great for waking them up, but then for settling them in the evening or anytime during the day, 5-finger breathing, which we just inhale up one finger, exhale down another, inhale, exhale. And they love this, and really a lot of ages like this, because we always have our breath. We don't always know that we have our breath, but we always have our breath, and we must always have our hands. So that's a great thing, especially for wiggly fingers to do if they're thinking about something. And then of course, if they get all the way to the end and they're still frustrated or they're still anxious, they can always go back and they can just keep doing it until they feel better. So they go like this. They want to go fast. So we have to make sure they go really slow and encourage that the slower breathing.
These little tools that you have and the little visuals and, touching your hands, it really adds so much more to the experience, you know?
Yeah. And
It's
it gets them out of here. It gets them back into their body
yeah,
because it's so much easier to have that sensation and be able to combine the breath with the sensation than it is to just sit there and have the thoughts and try to breathe.
and does that make it, I know with memory that it's good to, if you're trying to memorize something, to associate it with something else. Does this help them remember too and come back to it?
Yeah, I think that is the most popular one, especially with the middle schoolers I've worked with. And I think I think they like that one because again, you can do this. I'll say, if you're angry with mom and dad and you're in the back of the car, they're not going to know that you're settling yourself down. Or if a friend is saying something to you and you're upset, that's a private. They can do this, and they have this with them wherever they are, whenever it comes up. Um, so I find that that's the one that the students say they use the most.
Great.
Um, and then just, they can rock on their backs, they can pull their knees into their chest and just rock back and forth and do kind of like a rock to the side or rock, to the top of their spine to the back. That's another way to just kind of stimulate that vagus nerve, just to kind of kick it into a little bit more calm. And then,
And why is it important? I mean, I know it's much more pleasant to be around a calm person than a agitated person, but why is it important overall for people to practice calmness and mindfulness?
with other people, or
Well, that's a really good point. I was thinking about, with themselves, but yes, with other people. Um,
it's we're trying to get to some kind of homeostasis, and we're trying to maybe not come into balance, but we want our sympathetic nervous system to somewhat be balanced with our parasympathetic. And you know we're living in the sympathetic most of the time. We're in a very high stressed environment in our world, and so we really need to work harder to kind of get that state of calm into our body. And then also, with mirror neurons, we will respond to the way the person is around us. So the more calm we are, the more grounded and settled we are with the.
I was going to say it's contagious.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And I think there's health benefits, but there's also social benefits and spiritual benefits and mental benefits, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which actually leads us right into what Joey was going to share.
All right.
Well, I was going to, we talked about how yoga can support self-regulation and social emotional skills and general well-being. And there's really a growing body of research that has already shown that yoga can improve focus and memory and self-esteem and academic performance and classroom behavior, can reduce anxiety and stress in children. And of course, all of those things are true for adults as well. Yoga and mindfulness have been shown to improve both physical and mental health in school-age children. The balance, strength, endurance, and even aerobic capacity with the breathing in children improves. And for me, one of the most important things that I've seen that we've done, the impact, is teaching children how their brain works, and we call them their personal superpowers of their breath and mindfulness. It's transforming to them. And like that, responding, not reacting. We tell them to hit the pause button or use the acronym STOP. S for stop and catch yourself before you react. T for take a breath. O for observe and pay attention to your body and the emotions you're feeling. And then proceed for P. So if they can hit that pause button or remember that stop sign and just take a moment. And that would be true for teachers and adult parents in a stressful situation as well as children. And I've taught this little strategy. It came from something called Brain Gym, which I've been doing for a long, long time. It's related to yoga and the brain research, early brain research, but it's something called the hookup. And I would teach this to kids to say, this will keep you out of trouble. If you know how to do a hookup, you can always keep yourself out of trouble. And I could take a group of fourth graders from the playground after lunch, just wild and crazy, and they had to go to the library, and I had to settle them down, and all I had to do was say hook up, and we had silence and everybody was calming down. So I want to show you how to do it because it's good for kids, it's good for grown-ups, and it's similar to the eagle pose in yoga, and you can do it sitting, you can do it lying down, or you can do it standing up, but it helps with stress, anxiety, meltdowns, or sensory overload. So it's very simple. I know you can't see my feet, but you're going to cross your left, and you can do it if you're sitting, your left foot over your right, and then your left arm over your right. So you can clap your hands, I would tell the kids, and grab your fingers and then bring them up on your chest. So you're inverting them. And then you're going to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and behind your teeth. And when you inhale, you're going to press that tongue against the roof of your mouth. And when you exhale, you're going to relax. And you can stay here for about a minute, or we'll do it for, let's do 5 breaths. Begin. And when you come out of it, you can just uncross your legs and just bring your fingers together, kind of like it's a ball. And you can just keep breathing until you feel like you're really settled. And some kids, it would take longer than others. But it's the most amazing little activity that you can teach kids to calm themselves down. And it really works. And it's one of my go-to moves, so to speak.
You just say it's good for adults too.
Oh yeah, it's great. If you can, because you can just be sitting there and nobody, I would tell the kids, nobody really has to know what you're doing. You can just be, it's your little secret move. Nobody has to know. I said, but you can't hit anybody. You can't talk mean to anybody. You can't get yourself in trouble if you're hooked up. So you could tell a 5-year-old to hook up and you were good to go.
Great. I used to do this at staff meetings under the table.
Yeah. Well, I, as an educator for over 40 years, I've seen children faced with a lot of stress, and I've seen that they often don't have self-regulation tools. Sitting still in school, trying to learn can be very difficult. Their little minds are going offline, that amygdala is going, it's flipped. And if it flips, their little access to the hippocampus is off for a good 20 minutes. So if they come in from recess and there's been a fight and they have a math test, not good. So teachers have to understand that, they have to calm down. They have to learn some breathing techniques. They need to get everything back together. But stress will, not allow them to access the hippocampus, and all the facts they studied, everything they know, it may not be accessible for a little while they're that upset. So that's important for them to know, and the adults around them to know. And it's kind of funny. I always stress the importance of reading, writing, math. As a teacher, as a principal, I just sang that song. And JoAnna and I were doing a workshop at my school when I was retired, and we were talking to the assistants, and I said, I'm singing a different song. And they were like, what? And I told them, I think right now the most important thing our priority is the social emotional learning and getting kids to understand their brain and how they learn and what impacts that learning, and that anybody working with kids needs to understand it. I said it's number one priority, because if you don't know how to do that, the rest isn't going to happen. So I rank social emotional learning at the top. And also I've learned, we all learned, who took basic psychology, Maslow's hierarchy, and the bottom of the triangle is your safety needs, the food, the water, and it moves up to the tippy top to, self-actualization and creativity. But we know so much more now. We know about the effects of food insecurity, homelessness, the lack of positive adult role models, abuse, and all these things can cause trauma that not only affects our mental health, but direct correlation to our physical health. And we're not going to get into all this tonight, but it could be a whole nother topic sometime. But it's something that I'm really interested in and been doing a lot of research on, and JoAnna has too. In fact, she even teaches a course now with Warren Coalition. But the ACE score, the ACE study, then ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, and what we now know about that. I've learned a lot about myself doing the ACE score and what I may have experienced as a child that I never would have said was trauma, but and now looking at it, I go, oh, that affected me in some way. But there's lots of studies, and they're changing the screening process available to medical clinicians, mental health clinicians, and teachers are learning about the ACE score. And we're learning about the power of sleep and exercise and nutrition and mindfulness and healthy relationships as it relates to that. So it's really an exciting time, and yoga can be a playful and interactive thing to help with all of this for parents and for children, whether they're in a class or at home. The mindfulness strategies can help with taking breaks from screen time and encourage quiet time, more time in nature. And Ekka, you're great with that. And also with that calming anxiety and stress. And so one of the goals of the Family Yoga Project is to provide an introduction to yoga and some mindfulness strategies to develop an interest to do it and to learn more about it. We have a lot of great books that we use. The last class that we taught at the park, we used the book Where the Wild Things Are, and the theme, How to Tame Your Wild Thing. And we had a lot of fun with that. We did one on rainbows. I love this book, and you're probably seeing it backwards, My Magic Breath. And the kids love this, even the fifth graders, that the superpower of their breath and all the things it can do for us that they never thought of. So lots of different books that we use and have found to be really successful. Some of the simple mindfulness strategies that, are easy to share are just to take a walk and clear your mind, get outside in nature. There's lots of studies saying taking a break out in nature can really impact and rejuvenate the brain. And as little as 5 or 10 minutes a day. And another thing we've taught kids is if you can't get outside or you need another kind of walk, we've made paper versions and we've let them use our wooden versions of a finger labyrinth. I'm a big Labyrinth fan. And the kids love these. And we had all different kinds for different holidays and names and such. And they could just breathe as they trace their finger on a labyrinth, a very calming, focusing activity that's really simple to do. We did a lot of teaching about loving kindness, about thinking about someone you love, sending heart bubbles. They love that. We have a book on that where they send heart bubbles to someone else, and far, far away. And another important thing for helping them to develop empathy and compassion is the question they need to think about when they're really mad at someone is, how is that person just like me? And that is so important for all of us. It could be they're a boy, they like soccer, they're whatever it is, but that makes you stop in your tracks for a minute and think, how is that person just like me? They may have some same fears, some same feelings, some same likes, dislikes. So And then another thing was getting them to identify what they're grateful for. What are you grateful for today? And just the act of gratitude has a huge impact. So many things that, we've done either in the classroom and we hope to do as we continue the family yoga project, because we're just bubbling with ideas. So that's all I got right now.
Well, I would be really thrilled to have you back and talk more about it, because all of that I think is fascinating. And I'm just so intrigued that you're bringing this to schools, and I mean to young kids, and you're finding really effective ways to talk with them about it. I mean, it's amazing. I was probably 16 before, and I was a troubled child, so I was in I went to see a counselor, and that those sessions, I'll always remember that. I just felt like having that kind of understanding and support just impacted the rest of my life. And to think of people not having to wait that long and starting to get some of these concepts earlier,
Right.
really fabulous. So thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to say also, I'm sorry, just with what Joey was saying about the ACE scores, we may have an ACE score, but we're also learning that we have a resiliency score also. And so things like having that strong connection to a mentor or to someone that they feel is really listening to them can actually shift that resiliency. And then bringing tools like mindfulness or ways to manage stress, ways to just manage more social emotional experiences with other people is another way to help with resiliency. And the class that I'm helping the Warren Coalition with, there's a course 1 and a course 2, and I think the course 1 is happening right now. It's a trauma informed class, and I think there's 2 more weeks of that, but you have to be in all 3 sessions. And then I help with the trauma supportive class, which will be happening next week and the week after. But those courses really dive deeper into this also, and really help us understand that it's not hopeless. There's actually a lot of hope and a lot that we can do. And so this is just a little bit of what we can do to help support resiliency in the community.
Fantastic. So, and we haven't really talked very specifically about the Family Yoga Project yet, but you all are really in the development of it, aren't you?
Yeah, we've been trying. We did it last fall, and then we tried it most recently, and we had because we were outside, we had weather issues 2 of the days, and then 2 times we had a great class. And now that we're hoping at things like the library are opening back up on June 1st, that we'll have another place to go and present. So yeah, we are still in development as far as just getting a place to be and then getting the word out,
Okay, so
working around school schedules.
So you need a place to do it. So let's put that out there, that whoever's watching or hears about this, you guys need a place to offer this.
Yeah, we could do a pop-up. We talked about that as maybe there's a thing that we could do a little pop-up yoga session, family yoga project session somewhere if somebody's interested.
And so where would someone how do we find out about what's happening with the Family Yoga Project?
We have a Facebook page called the Family Yoga Project. And Laura Ruby through Ruby Yoga is also part of this. And we are able to kind of work through her website also. So that's a good place to check for classes. Is there any other place that we're posting it? I think that's pretty much it for now.
And how about the Women's Resource email, the weekly email?
Yep.
Okay.
We can do that.
Great. Well, I'm just so thrilled to hear about all that you're doing, and I'm sure our people watching this are too. Please feel free to leave comments in the live video, or after we close. If you're watching it later, please feel free to leave comments. There we go. Tina's just posted the link for that. So, and we'll stay tuned. Did you want to, is there anything you want to say to wrap this up? Stay tuned, huh? Stay
Yeah.
tuned, more is
Thank
coming.
you for inviting us.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so, it's just really so, just, it makes me feel so good to know that things like this are happening in our community. It's so essential and it's so caring, and and it takes tremendous vision, to be doing what you're both doing. And so I really want to thank you for that on behalf of myself, and the community. So thank you both so much.
Well, thank you, Eka.
Barbara, shall I turn it back to you? Let's see.
I'm coming.
Okay. Hi.
JoAnna, I didn't know, did you want to share that little video or not? I know. Well, it
You're on
wasn't,
mute, JoAnna.
you had so much great information that it really, you're muted. Okay.
There you go.
Joey found a really cute video that I think explains really what we're trying to do, which is to help teach families how to cope with lots of different things.
Okay, I will share it now.
Breathe. Again. See, it has gone down.
Right when I was getting ready to get up, Noah kind of rushed over there and he's like, hey, he's like, hey, you're upset. I see that you're upset. I understand, but it's not ready yet. And that's when I'm like, oh my God, this is so cute. Like, let me record this.
Breathe. Again. See, it has gone down.
That is so sweet. I love at the end how he, takes him by the back, and that's really sweet.
It is. It is. It's a great one. Well, thank you, everyone. This was amazing. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I need to send this to my son for my grandchildren. And yes, I'm with Eka. I would love to hear more about the trauma. I think that's something that we can all relate to. And, the more we understand about it, the healthier we are. So thank you all. In terms of everything else, only a few things I can think of. And we will, of course, share all of this on our e-blast. So for those of you who are seeing this, you can go to frwrc.org, and that's our website. You can sign up for our email. You can, do all sorts of things.
Become a member.
Yes, become a member. Yep. Yep. And, we are, like I said before, we are a 501c3 and have been since 1998. And our mission or our vision is to empower women to change their world. Our mission is doing this, which is supporting women in our community with programs, information, and education. And I think this program just kind of shows you this is what we're all about. And we always need support, and we always want to share what we do in the world. So we hope you'll join us. We do have another networking that we do, this woman gathering. We usually do the third Thursday of every month. And our other one is more of an informational. We consider this more of an inspirational, which it has been. And our informational are women in networking. is the fourth Wednesday of the month, and we will be doing as good as we can to go to Clover Hill Farm, which is a bread and breakfast and a flower farm, and we're going to connect with Amy Davidson, who's a grower there. And there's a lot of history for this place, so we're actually pretty excited. We're hoping that Susie Huron, who's one of the owners, will talk about the history of the property. Tina and I went the other day, and it's amazing and fabulous. So we hope you all will join us there too. And we'll just do our best to keep bringing things to you in the world. And I know we're all excited that we can actually start to do little things in person. So woohoo! So thank you all.
Thank
I
you,
can't think
Barbara.
of anything else. If anyone has anything to add, please jump in.
Just thank you to you and to the Front Row Women's Resource Center for bringing this kind of information and inspiration out into the community. So thank you.
Okay. And I see Joyce is here too. I don't know if she has anything to add. But if not, then I guess we can say goodbye. So,
let me.
Joyce, go ahead. Do you have something? Jump in.
I just unmuted that. Just wanted to share. I work at the coalition, and we've really seen the need to focus on trauma. It's so interesting. I love doing that simply because, you know, Eka, we need to thank you, or I need to thank you, I guess. My real understanding of trauma and how it can impact us and how it impacts everybody is you had Suzanne Sherlock. Is that,
Oh,
do I have her
Suzanne
name
Sherlock,
correct?
right. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Present. And she talked about, you know, and that definition of trauma. And I think one of the things that Joey and JoAnna have really helped us understand is that we all have trauma. It doesn't have to be something major, you know, like a freak death or rape or, you know, traumatic, tragic accident, something like that. They're all traumas within us, and we do need to learn to recognize them and know that they are impacting our behavior. And as they mentioned, you know, when we can teach young children to begin to understand that and to have the patience to learn to deal with themselves and to deal with their issues, it's just magical. It's that superpower, Joey.
Well, thanks, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce.
And I should say Joyce is our board president and has also been a very long time member and supporter. So just to kind of introduce her as we're saying goodbye. All right. Well, thank you all.
Bye.
Hopefully we'll see you in a month. Yes.
And Laura, we're sorry you couldn't join us, but hope you can next time. And thank you guys. Thank you, Joey and JoAnna, very much. All right.
Thank you all.
Until we meet again.
All right. Bye.